Welcome, everybody, to BoardSTIFF.
Welcome back, everybody, to BoardSTIFF. Huh? We're like celebs now. Not really, not even close, actually.
No,
nothing close to it. But we are coming off a Gen Con, which is fabulous, fantastic time.
Good time.
And everybody that is watching, that checked us out, that was a part of it. I want to thank you again for joining us as we put this continuing project together. And there's a lot more coming. Trust me, I'm actually spending probably more time doing that than my work, which is not good, right, Wilts? Not good. But with that said, it's fun. I like it, and I may die. Who knows? So let's keep it up. So let's talk board games. And before we do want to mention that you can be a part of the show by sending content information to us. You can check us out at BoardStiff4 on Twitter. Going back and forth, there's BoardStiffGamer@gmail.com is how you reach us by email. We have the Discord up under BoardStiff. Got the name, and it's up. The server's up as well. So maybe if you want to do a little gaming, you want to try some of the games we're playing, maybe do some tabletop we're welcome and open to that conversation, as well as our website at boardstiff.info to see what we're all about. So let's jump right into it. I guess the first thing we want to do is talk about recap of Gen Con before we get in, because let me tell you what, I played some games. I think I was about 15 games in of the whole weekend doing it. I mean, I can't say there's games showing up at my house every minute of the day as I start picking up more games as we go through. But there's a lot, including, I'm surprised you didn't notice this, Chris.
Hey, look at that.
I can only see it from the forehead up.
Boom, huh? Look at that. Hang on. Come on.
Nice.
You got to give it in. You're talking about fans
Nice.
and that, right? Good times. So played a lot of BattleTech, did a lot of fun stuff. But the most funnest thing we did is, this is not a grammar show, is do our special project seminar, if you will, on what we do here on the show. And that is trying to maximize opportunities to bring new gamers to the table and make sure they have a beautiful experience, positive experience coming off it. That's why we're doing the show and why we're reviewing these games, because you either may have them on your shelf and think, let's just bring it out. And you might make an error because you brought somebody over that's important. They look at it and said, that's a lot, man. I don't know what you're doing here. And then walk away, not coming back again. We don't want that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but let me get your quick recaps on Gen Con. What do you guys think? Any thoughts or comments or sarcastic remarks?
I thought it was super fun. It was great to have some interested people. We got a lot of great suggestions. I am not going to even attempt to, shout out any of the names that were there. There were just, well, it's not that there were too many. It's that I didn't write them down. So thanks for coming.
Yeah. But I tell you what was missing?
It'll be in the video.
Yeah, the wedding, which we are working on to get out too.
Oh, the wedding. Okay, I'm sorry.
Wedding.
I
You
should
can
have a
mention
shout
that.
out for the person who said they had a board game wedding. Coolest thing ever,
right?
Yeah, jealous.
So
I'm sure-
shout out to you. I'm sorry I don't remember your name. I should have looked that up ahead of time.
I'm sure my wife would have liked to have that for sure. That's why we need to bring her in.
I couldn't even get the Han Solo and Princess Leia on top of the wedding cake. I tried.
What? Oh, dude, that's brutal. That's brutal. Oh gosh, how about you? Anybody else, Wilts? Johnny?
Yeah, I thought it was fun. Would have been nice if one of us took notes, but I think we're all too busy talking.
Oh,
but
I got it.
We've got a video. We can watch it.
I got
that's
it.
right.
It's already been done.
We got a
It's already
video.
been done. Yeah.
No,
There's
it
a
was
lot more to
enjoyable.
come.
We had a good turnout. I was surprised to see that, and they stuck with us even after the end of it. So I thought all in all, it was a success.
It was a good conversation for sure. So let's jump right into the show now and get to our main guest, if we will, which is right here. You can see in the background there. But to first talk about our rating system, because it always comes up amongst
John
ourselves.
doesn't
And
get
to
an
be,
opinion on Jen.
I thought you said, it was good. That's it. Bring it. Wait, ladies and gentlemen, John.
Great. Now you get the guy this great big opinion. No, I honestly I had almost as much fun in the after party as we did during the seminar itself. The panel itself, because a few people stuck around and we just kept chatting a little bit. We learned about teachers using games in their classrooms and the board game wedding. But I was really excited to see how many people are just interested in trying to get new gamers into the hobby and are interested in talking about it. And it just was really nice to kind of connect with a few people who have that similar interest. Because
We're here for you, people.
Yeah, for sure. It was awesome. Yeah. All right, so let's jump in. Sorry about that. We were talking about
No
this one
worries.
game.
I got your back.
We brought Shadows Over Camelot.
Shadows Over Camelot.
Right. All right. That was actually requested by the Gen Con folks. They actually did a quick vote and asked who they want us to review. So we played it a couple times, actually more than others, and we're able to kind of talk about it as best as we can on it. But when we do, we're going to talk about it under two systems. We've talked about this in each show, and we'll bring it up again. One is the simplicity rating. That is from 1 to 10, 1 being the simplest and the easiest to understand immediately, to 10 being like deer in headlights after the time you talk to them, right? Horrible. The other rating that we'll talk about is the dust factor, which is our own when it comes to when the game comes off the shelf, how often it comes off the shelf. It comes off the shelf a lot, that's a 1. Very little dust, millimeters, centimeters, tiny meters, right? 10 meaning it sits on the shelf forever, just constant
Tiny
dust,
meters
nobody
in
plays
units.
with
Where's
it.
tiny meter in the SI scale? Is that like -12? I don't know.
It's in the Vogue system. It's in the Vogue
It's in
system.
the Vogue
That's right.
system.
Centimeter.
Exactly. So.
That's awesome.
All right.
I'm gonna use
So
that.
let's jump into it. As I often do, we're gonna go and we're gonna start with Wilson, because he, out of the three of us, had never played the game until now. So we're really gonna get a good representation of a newbie to the game, at least. Maybe not a gamer, but just to the game. Get his opinion, and then I'll let you two fight amongst yourselves and give you my short little beat at the end. So
Yeah.
go for it, Wilson.
Yeah, for difficulty, it wasn't that easy, to be honest with you. And I think even with you guys who have played it multiple times, I think we missed a rule or two right off the bat. I'd probably give it a 5 or a 6 on difficulty, just because of the different things that you have to do. And I think there was 6 or 7 different types of actions you could take depending on where you were or where you wanted to go on the board.
Yep.
So yeah, it wasn't that easy. I mean, so I would probably give it a 6 as far as difficulty goes. I mean, it's not incredibly difficult, to do the math and those types of things when you're doing it. But to understand what you want to do or where you want to go or who you want to go with when you're doing them, it was kind of difficult to get. We got through the whole game, and I still wasn't completely sure what we were doing or how we screwed up, because we lost pretty quickly, let's face it.
We got crushed.
Yeah.
I don't think we stood a chance from the beginning, and you guys have played the game multiple times as I understood it. So yeah, it's not the easiest game you can play. Now, we're doing both at the
No,
we
sir.
just-
We'll go around.
Okay.
We'll go around. So simplicity is a 5 or 6. Got it.
I'd give it a 6, yeah.
Yeah, 6. All right. Next.
I don't know who you're pointing to. 'Cause-
We're in different
Go ahead,
places on each other's screens.
Go ahead, John.
All right, I'll go. So yeah, Colin, I agree with you. You said we missed a couple of rules, but the thing that gives it a high difficulty rating for me is actually you need to know the strategy of how to play the game to play it right. So I had played the game. It was years ago. Shane and I learned it at a convention eons ago. I came to the game, I forgot all the strategy, which is kind of why we lost so bad. We kind of split up and went our own ways when you really need to kind of gang up on a couple of the on a quest. And not remembering that, it's almost like the game's unplayable if you don't know that strategy of how to play it. So I definitely give it a 6 or a 7 on difficulty for that reason, that you can't you can't just teach somebody the rules, you have to teach strategy too. And if you're teaching strategy,
Great point.
when
Great
you're
point.
teaching a new game, that might be an indicator that it's too complex. So
Great. Very good,
6 or
Johnny.
7-ish.
Yeah, I think
okay.
I'm right there with both of you. It's a hard game. I mean, so there's a lot of cooperative games out there, that have that very same mechanic of the good guys do something, the bad guys do something, right? And in this case, each player is choosing which bad action to take, the lesser of the evils, if you will, and then you have to take you do your heroic thing as a knight of the round table. That's the theme. We haven't really talked about that. Of course, it's Camelot, so you have the various knights of the round table and King Arthur and his court and all of that. And you're doing these quests, and it's not just that there's 5 or 6 different things you can do on your turn. It's that each of those quests have a slightly different action that you take. Like this one, you're collecting a set, and that one you're trying to get 5 cards in a row, and this other one you're just throwing cards at, and and so some of them you go by yourself, and some of them you go as a group. And if you don't go as a group, you're basically pwned because there's no way you're ever going to get it done in time. So it's not just that it's a complicated game, but as John said, the strategy is pretty intense. And if you're not ready to step into that, it's just overwhelming on multiple levels. And if you don't understand what you're doing, you're less likely to enjoy the game, and you're certainly less likely to enjoy a game you don't understand when you lose, because that's what's going to happen if you don't know
exactly
what's going on.
Yeah.
And we didn't know if there was a trader or not when we played, but the second time we played without a trader.
Intentionally
And it's
without
still
a trader.
hard.
And the rules recommend that. I mean, the rules do say, hey,
Right,
your first time through, your first several times through, play without the trader, give yourself a shot to learn how the game works. If the rules have to tell you simplify the game because it's too complicated the first time you play, I'm going to give it a 7. I mean, I think this is one of the more complicated games we've reviewed. I think I'm looking at, I have the cheat sheet over here with our past scores on it, but
Thank you for doing
we
that.
were in this same range for Firefly. I think that's accurate. I mean, I think this is a 7 easy. So that's my score.
Very nice. 7 for you. What was yours, Johnny? Simplicity?
John was a 6 to 7.
6 or 7. So
Gave him a
7.5.
6.5.
So 6.5. Okay, very cool. So a lot of actions, right, to start off on the game. I mean, when you start looking at it, kind of echoing what you said, I mean, you're talking about dice, cards, movement, quests, a trader, these, mechanics that as experienced gamers, I had a hard time juggling and keeping up with, right? So I guess it all says that if you can, as the gamer, remember, it always goes back to knowing the game well enough. And we don't even know the game well enough ourselves. The last thing you want to do is bring a game to the table and try to introduce that, right? That's kind of our number one rule you don't break. So in that case, that says it all. I do think the game is very pretty, so it does have great table presence, and I think it's like a circus when you're there. But with the circus, there comes chaos, right? And chaos is part of the circus, and the game really does put you in that chaos situation in regards to trying to decide strategy. When you start going down that road. One thing that really made me appreciate, and this probably is off topic a little bit to a new gamer, because I think we all agree that that's not, this is definitely not the game for that. But one thing I did find, and I noticed about the game eventually, is you do build these gamers and you do come together, is that I did a lot of gaming at Gen Con where respectfully, anything over 5 in a game is tiresome. Like you are going to be waiting a long time, right? You're going to be, there's a lot of downtime, or sometimes just keeping up with what's going on is difficult. I'm talking role-playing games. I'm talking different board games. When you're coming around that circle, that table, right? After about the 5th player, the 6th ones, you know what I mean? You're like, okay, it's extreme. So I'm really hesitant in the future to even do games with 6 or 7 people. This game, however, is the one exception, where I actually think the more people you have playing the game, even though there's less, there's still a lot of time between your turns and so forth, you're constantly working together as the co-op and truly talking about it and doing this. There's a lot of talk. So again, the beginner gamer, absolutely not. I give it an 8. I mean, that's my number. It's up there. I think it's worse than Firefly. So if I give it a 7 in Firefly, I'm giving it an 8, right? But as a gaming game, I think it's awesome, and I think it really challenges the gamer to work at it. So I would think that that would
definitely
be
a game for someone who wants a challenge. Its
exactly.
default setting is hard. And
Yes,
I agree with you. I
hands down.
think it's probably easier with more players than it is with less, because you can really gang up on those quests.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Whether you have a trader or not, quite frankly. I mean, it's just
Exactly.
to that, you add that trader in, and it's going to really shake things up, which I like. I mean, that's a great element to it as well. It's kind of fun because I like bluff games, as you know, Werewolf, and we're going to talk in a minute about or next week on another one. But so I think that's the 8. So now let's do the reverse. Let's talk about the dust factor. I own the game, right? I had to dust it off just to bring it out for us to play and try it. So if that doesn't say something, right? 2 reasons. 1, I have no friends but you guys, and that's even questionable sometimes, right? And 2, it's one of those things where you're like, there's so many other co-op games, as Chris said, that I would probably bring out instead, because if I do have gamers around, I have to relearn it again, or I haven't put enough strategy into it to know I even have a shot at winning it, right? When going into something going, yeah, you probably got a 1 in 10 chance of winning this. How's that going to be for a game now? You're like, I better get hammered first, right? Yeah, exactly. Not fun. So dust factor is also high on this. I'm actually, unfortunately, because I actually believe the game is one of the more beautiful games created for its time period. Remember, this isn't a Kickstarter game from last year, right? These guys put money into this thing. They're if you look at them, I bring them up, but it's not a review show. But it's the miniatures are awesome. The boards quality. The game itself is awesome. And I would just paint the minis, quite frankly, if I was into it. But the game itself, overall, I'm gonna say it's probably another 8. I'm gonna give it a double 8 on the dust factor as well. So 8 for me. Go backwards.
So I just looked it up. This game was published in 2005, so it's a 15-year-old game. So I mean, this is about the same time it's the same company made Ticket to Ride.
Yeah, right. Which is a much easier intro game to bring in.
Which I played this weekend with my nephews and my brother-in-law and Kathleen.
Yeah, and we could review that too. I mean,
which is a 2004 game. So this was the year after Ticket to Ride, and we remember how revolutionary games were at that time. So even in their rules, there's a bunch of text about this game is different than others you've played. It's cooperative, and everyone's like, "What does that mean? I've never heard of a cooperative."
And there's a hidden traitor.
Exactly.
Ooh, a hidden traitor.
A traitor.
Yeah.
Someone playing against you. So it was pretty novel for the time.
Yeah.
And I certainly can't claim whether it was the first of that. But yeah, it was. It's a pretty excellent production for a new game in its genre in 2005, 15 years ago.
Right. Yeah, I know it led the charge on a lot of this stuff, right? I mean, even just the mechanics of early games in many cases are sloppy. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, they need to adjust that or fix that. I mean, I think the cooperative works pretty good. We talked about, house ruling at 2 actions instead of 1. I wonder how that'd break it. I think we should try. But
it would be nice if there was a difficulty adjustment somewhere. So if you wanted to just enjoy the theme and enjoy the camaraderie and not feel like you're fighting for your life every moment of the game.
Every moment. Yeah. Those black cards.
Pandemic, is a great example of that. It has a great scaling factor. You can put in, 3 of the bad cards, or you can put in 4 or 5. And I think there's even a 6 option, which is just nuts. So anyway, we're not talking about
I think that's actually a newer mechanic, though. Now that we talk about the differences, right? Like, Wiltz, we played the game last night, Night Cage, with these new guys. This Kickstarter I got from Gen Con, which is awesome. Great mechanic, but it has a difficulty add more tiles, remove tiles based on stuff. So I think it might be more of a new approach that they work into games that they do it. But good points. Good points for sure. Johnny. Oh, wait, what was your dust factor on that? What number did you give it?
Oh, is it my turn? I just jumped in.
Yeah. Go for it. I'm sorry. Finish it up.
I don't own the game. I think prior to playing it just the last few days, the last time I played it was, when you were still living here. So that was, 7-8 years ago.
Wow.
So it isn't a game that I have thought about and said, hey, that would be a fun game to play. So I think the dust factor is relatively high. I feel like it's the sort of game where if you can find a group of people who want to play it, you could really play the hell out of it for like a week or two. Like right now, having played it twice in the last couple of days, I want to try it again. It's like I feel like I'm all tuned up and ready to go.
Right.
But that's not a great thing for new players, and it's not going to be a great thing to bring into a family of new players. So yeah, I'm going to have to give this an 8 on the dust factor. I think this is a game I would pull out, once a decade, play 2 or 3 times, and then put away again, for a long time. So,
okay. Good stuff. 2 8s.
I'm going to give it an 8.
Gotcha. All right, Johnny.
Yeah, Chris, you hit the nail on the head. I want to play this game between 2 and 5 more times and then not see it again until 2028. Because I want to try it. I want to try it with the trader. I want to beat it, and I want to figure out how to beat it each time we play it. And then I'll be like, well, okay, there's 3 quests, and then the inner quest.
Now it's solved.
It's kind of it's a solved puzzle. Now you can buy. There's probably 15 expansions for it, I bet. But it's not a game I would.
There is at least one called Merlin's Company.
But that's with like a gaming crew, and I don't think my family. So in terms of the family dust factor, this game would never come off the shelf. The hidden trader mechanic wouldn't be one that my family would enjoy.
What?
I mean, me and the boys and Kathleen. I don't think this would be one that would come out. We like pure co-op games or everybody against everybody games. The hidden trader mechanic is just not something that works socially in our in our house. So if I had this on the shelf, though, this would stay on the shelf, and I would never get rid of it for the nostalgia factor, because it's one of the first games I played when I was kind of entering the hobby. And I look back on it fondly.
That's right.
For that,
You were a newbie back then. Yeah.
It had cool minis, and it had all these, like, oh my god, and you manage your hand, and we have asymmetrical powers. We each have our own power, and it has sort of like, it's got almost every mechanic in it. It's got dice rolling. It's got.
Well, I was gonna say it's even got the area.
You can roll dice. You manage your
role-playing.
hand. You put your. It's almost like a worker placement. You put your dude out where you want him to do stuff, and you're. It's co-op. But it's not co-op. It's got everything in it, and it's So for me, it's got a lot of nostalgia for it. But yeah.
That's right. I forgot that you're new into it a little bit back in the. Yeah, that's great.
Well, but we all were in 2005. I mean, they didn't have. I mean, that was the Euro game invasion. I mean, that's when that happened. You know,
I don't know.
People were playing role-playing games before that, and people were playing, So you might have had a shelf full of role-playing game books, but you didn't have a closet, or maybe I should just speak for myself, but most people didn't have a closet of gamer games then. That wasn't a thing.
It wasn't as big as it is now.
Because Catan and Ticket to Ride and those were just coming onto the market in the early 2000s. So by 2005, unless you were an early adopter, those didn't exist. You were playing Monopoly and Scrabble.
So just factor 9.
Yes. Ooh,
9.
Gives it a 9.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right.
Like
Wilkes, you are up, sir. The newbie.
Yeah.
Talk it.
Yeah, I'd give it a 10. I hate to say it. It didn't leave me wanting more of it. I thought it felt scattered to me. I mean, like there was so much going on, so much you could do. As a new player, if somebody brought that out, and if they weren't into games at all, I just don't think that they would be into that one.
You're not going to convince them with this game, is what you're saying.
No,
right.
Not at all. So
matter of fact, it might almost say, to your point of being 10, it almost might be the opposite, right? Do the exact opposite, going, oh, this is why I don't play games, right? That's the line.
Right. Yeah. What am I doing? This, exactly. Yeah. I would, I would give it the max score on this one. I didn't hate the game. But as a guy who likes to try new games, it didn't, like I said, it didn't leave me going, boy, I got to play it again tomorrow night, So,
yeah.
And don't at me, Catan was from 1996 or something.
There you go.
I had to
forgive
go.
you.
So 95.
I found
25 years old.
I found an audio tape of me and Wilson back when we were like, what, 10? Talking, or not even building some kind of role-playing game. It was funny. My voice was a lot lighter than it's now.
I said,
not
who are
much,
these two
actually.
girls? That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Good time. So good stuff. It's funny when you mentioned that, because one element came out, which I'm working on as we talk about the whole process of coming up with a strategy that we'll release later on. We'll talk about the white paper and so forth. Is that was the I call it the walk away communication. I think it's very strong in the sense of when you look at somebody, say, look, if we do this. And obviously, we're trying to build something that you never have to worry about that because it's going to be spot on for the person there. But in the meantime, or as you go through it, you got to be able to, depending on the personality, be able to look at them and say, hey, look, if we get going on this thing and you don't like the game, tell me. Let's go, because I got a whole ton of them out there, right? So I think this game would have been that type of situation where, you got to.
You wouldn't even have gotten through describing the rules.
Yeah.
And Bob, where am I supposed to go now?
You've been playing games so long, and you were so bad at this one that I thought I was convinced you were the traitor. I said nobody could be playing a game this badly.
He owns it. He's the only one that actually has access to the game.
And I was coming off of what? How many hours? Let me do the math. 72 hours of nonstop gaming on Sunday night. Well, you guys all fresh and bone, and I was like,
in fairness,
anyways, I did suck.
I looked at 5 cards, 5 bad cards, put them in a specific order, forgot the order.
I wasn't going to bring it up, Johnny.
And hastened to the end of the game for us. Now, I don't think the result would have been different. We just would have gotten it a little bit later.
Yeah,
right.
we would have struggled on in our long death a little longer.
But here's the thing, right?
But it is worth saying, when we played the next night, we won, and we won handily.
Because we played the right strategy, right? We said, well, let's go
Andy
quest
didn't
together.
have Bogue playing.
And you
with
have Bogue.
Well, but
Also
I think
true.
it's important to note we're reviewing the game from the perspective of teaching a new player. This is absolutely
Right.
not the game for
Don't
that.
do it.
Unequivocally, don't do it.
That said,
Now-
it's a fun game. It's challenging as a
I would-
gamer's game. It's so much fun to be on the edge
Yes.
of your seat, not know whether you're going to win.
What's going to happen? I
It
mean, we
is-
had a
it
few
is-
times.
It is 2 or 3 games wrapped into one. I don't think there's any question about that. So I mean,
It
it's
just went all over the place. All over the place.
Did.
But Wilson,
You know
in that
what,
game,
you know what
eBay.
stuff is in that?
so Wilson, in the second
Alright.
game we played last night, when you guys joined in the end, we almost lost the Grail. I mean, the Grail Quest seemed like it was lost, like we were just not going to
Right.
get there, and we left King Arthur behind.
No,
and said,
no, it was somebody
okay?
else.
It was
It's
somebody else.
okay.
We left one
Doesn't
player
matter.
behind and said, just make sure this one doesn't blow up on us.
Right.
right.
We went and did
Just
other
keep
things,
it from blowing up.
and we were successful. And we went, let's go back there because it's kind of, we played some Merlins, we got rid of some bad cards, and then we won the Grail Quest. And that was kind of
Right.
fun, right? It shows you that just with a little strategy.
Right.
That's right. Versus us running around with chickens where our head comes off. Right.
But that's fun for a group of gamers who can say, oh, it's like that game.
All right.
Anyway,
Geez, I
You're
don't
not
think
the
I don't
kind of
think we-
person who enjoys a game you lose. Or
Yeah.
if you're the kind of person who gets irrevocably pissed off because somebody does something suboptimal. Well, that was a lot of sounds. Anyway, if you're the min-maxer to the point that you get mad when other people are not min-maxers, do not play this game with other people. I mean that, but
There you
if
go.
you're the kind of person who can get to the end of the game and be like, oh man, that game crushed us, let's play again,
Yeah.
then I have to
Fair
recommend this one.
Yeah, we didn't give a little 7, I don't think, amongst us in any
No,
other
we didn't,
category. So that was
so-
good. All right. So that wraps that up. We know that's a no-go, which is great. So next week, we try to keep these as pithy as possible as we get more professional in what we do here. We're going to review the second rated voted game, as well as Resistance, right? The French version. No, just regular Resistance. Oh, there it is. That'll be the next week's game as well.
Why is
So,
Yeoman Rand on the cover? Can anybody explain that to me?
Is that what it is?
I don't know. That's what it looks like to me. Like she's got the blonde beehive and everything. It even looks like the Star Trek bridge in the background.
Yes, pretty cool. Pretty cool art.
She's
There's a
wearing
lot
the
of expansions
red
for
shirt
that,
and
too.
everything.
Right, we'll talk about it. Actually, yeah, as we go through it, we'll discuss the pros and cons for a newbie on that one as well. So if you want to chime in on what we just talked about, maybe the conversation about Gen Con and what we're putting out with the white paper, or just give us sarcastic remarks on how bad we are, we'd love to hear them. You can go to Twitter at BoardStiff4 is how you reach us, boardstiffgamer@gmail.com, or email Discord. Click on it, add to the server. It's just BoardStiff. You'll find us there now and then, chatting away, playing some games. And then, of course, our website is boardstiff.info. And that's how you can reach us. All right, gentlemen, straight up, good show, and we'll keep at it. I'm not sure the next time we'll get together on it and keep it on. So thanks, everybody. Talk to you later.